Now, it's time to get back to Monk's. The dinner's in a few hours, and I need to have a chat with another master of his craft, Tomme Arthur. Not to mention, it's been at least 2 hours since my last beer.
Well, we're here with Tomme Arthur of Lost Abbey Brewing. Tomme, how you doing?
Nice to see you. Good, thanks.
Well, you know, it's amazing. Every time I show up in another location, there's a beer waiting for me, isn't it?
That's a great thing, right? They just keep
Cheers.
showing up.
This is this is Lost Abbey,
This is
right?
our Lost Abbey. This is our gift of the Magi. It's a Christmas seasonal. It comes out every fall.
Now, you are a big fan of using barrels to ferment your beer. So what does that do for your beer? I mean, how are you able to manipulate those flavors?
Historically, you know, most beer was aged in wood barrels, but what we found nowadays is that there's a lot of breweries using bourbon barrels, brandy barrels, sherry barrels, things like that held a really powerful spirit in it, you know, very, very strong flavored liquor. And that flavor can really add a lot of complexity to beers. So what we've got is about 600 oak barrels at the brewery, and a good portion of them are bourbon and brandy based, and what we're doing is using those to add flavor to the beer itself.
You're also credited with the first successful brewing of a 100% Brettanomyces beer. Now, I guess the first thing is, congratulations on that, but what the hell is Brettanomyces?
It's a scary word. Brettanomyces is basically, it means wild yeast, or it comes from the British, you know, British yeast, and it's a yeast that winemakers don't want in their wineries, and so winemakers have tried for a long time to keep Brett out of their wineries. But what we find in a lot of Belgian beers and a lot of beers from the Belgian producers that specialize in using Brettanomyces has some incredible flavors that really enhance the character of beer. So Brett fermentations are a little bit different, they're a little bit more peculiar, and at the same time they eat more of the sugars in the beer, so you get different textures, but really interesting beers.
So Brettanomyces, wine, bad thing. Beer, good thing.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely, yep.
What are your thoughts on tonight's dinner, especially with the menu that they developed?
This is probably the 6th or 7th time we've come to do a beer dinner at Monk's, and every time it's different, but the best part is that Tom really knows, you know, he really knows his beer and he really knows his food, and what happens is you get a synergy from the two that we don't experience, you know, that often. We really love coming to Monk's because Tom he gets it, and he loves using our beers. I think our beers offer him an enormous palate, you know, sort of spectrum that he can work with, and it's often very, very electric and exciting. The beer itself is actually...
Do you mind if I drink while you talk?
Please, please.
Because you're going on and on.
It's good, right?
Tell me about Angel's Hair, because that is a really cool beer.
It is. It's got a great story behind it. So there's a lot of what we were talking about, the whiskey barrels and things that we use. And in the whiskey world, the whiskeys typically sit in barrels for a long time, 9 years, 15 years. And during that time, a little bit of the whiskey is actually lost in the evaporation process. And what the Scottish distillers have termed or coined is the phrase the Angel's Share, and basically that's what the angels are taking from each one of the barrels. So we felt very fortunate when we got into having a beer that was going to have a lot of barrel character that we could use that name and sort of reference that story, because the angels definitely take their share of our beer as we age it as well.
Well, I've enjoyed talking to you, and we're going to see you a little bit later when we get into this beer dinner tonight. So here's to Lost Abbey, here's to you, and cheers.
Cheers, Martin.